Hey sisters, welcome back to my channel. You know I'm always coming to you with those relatable topics. So if you haven't already, sis, go hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend about my channel. And by the looks of the title, you already know what we're gonna get into. So let's get right into the video. Hey, I hope you guys are doing all right because I am. We all need to embrace each other in this day and hour, and trust me, sis, when I tell you, okay? Sometimes I am just so annoyed, but guess what? I'm here for you guys, and I hope you guys are here for me too. So let's get right into the video with this one, okay? Because a lot of us really do need to understand that it is possible. It is very, very possible to have a peaceful relationship, and I am going to tell you how. Listen, okay, when we are in a long term committed relationship, it is very, 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 very important to understand our partner. We have to know our partner's ability to tolerate certain things. We have to know when too much is too much. We have to know their boundaries, okay? And it's not because you're scared of them, but merely because you want to salvage whatever respect you have for each other in your relationship. You have to know when to pick and choose your battles, sis. I'm telling you, okay? You can't be ready to go toe to toe with your man all the time. Sometimes you have to be willing to just sit back and take a L, okay? Just take that L and let it slide because you know that something else is gonna come along where you can catch it right back, okay, sis? So sometimes you gotta play devil's advocate in your relationship in order for you to have peace in your relationship. Of course, you and your partner are not always going to see eye to eye, and that's okay. I mean, just because you're in a relationship with each other doesn't mean that you have to agree with each other all the time. You are not, because both of you have different walks of life, and both of you have different perception of things. You view things differently from your man, and vice versa, because it's a gender role thing, okay? And that's all right. But when it boils down to it, whatever issues you may have that you cannot resolve, you have to swallow your pride, sis. Yes, swallow your pride and just act as if you see where they're coming from, even when you don't. If you want peace in your relationship, sis, that's what you have to do. It's not always about being right. And for men, they act from a place of ego, right? Men always want to be able to put their foot down, so to speak. They always want to be able to call the shots in the relationship. So they may overdo it, but you have to just step in from a place of humility, from a place of understanding and compromise, and say, okay, you know what? That's my man. I love and respect him, and even though I disagree with the matter at hand, I'm gonna let him have this one. I'm gonna let him feel like he's running the show because ultimately that's all it is. He just wants to feel like he has control of the relationship. So, not all the time that you argue with your man, it's really necessarily because he wants to be right, it's just because he wants to feed his ego. And that is a big, 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 big disconnect with a lot of us in relationships. We seem to forget that men operate from a place of ego and us women operate from a place of feelings. So either way, you just have to learn how to balance out the two. Okay, sis? It's so easy for us to really focus on being offended by what is said in an argument to each other versus really just taking a listen to really read between the lines. And this is another way for us to produce peace in our relationships and maintain that peace, okay? Instead of focusing on hurtful things that are said and absorbing it, instead, read between the lines. Ask yourself, what did my partner really mean by that? Why would they say that to me? Where is that coming from? What could I do to change that? You know what I'm saying? Like, really operate from a place of concern and not a place of embarrassment, okay? And that goes for both men and women in relationships. It's not always about being embarrassed by what is said or hurt by what is said. It's always about a place of humility, a place of compromise. Okay, guys? We all know that arguments can get out of hand real quick. We know that, right? But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, relationships are what you make it. So if you want your relationship to be all about malice instead of preserving the bond that you share, then that's on you. I mean, it takes two to tango, right? But if you really want to cherish the bond that you have and not destroy it little by little, then peace is very vital to your relationship. And we all know that communication is key for any relationship to work, right, guys? So, communicate. Say, what can I do to make this better? How did I make you feel this way? You know what I'm saying? Be understanding, guys, and try to figure it out together. I'm not saying be a softie if you're not a softie. I mean, we all have different love languages. We all express our love in different ways. Some people express their love by buying gifts. Some people express their love by talking it out. Some people express their love by being nonchalant. And I mean, it's not healthy, but it's okay. As long as it works for your partner, it should work for you. Remember, however you start a relationship is how it's gonna end. So if you start that relationship with a certain love language, that is exactly how it's gonna end because you have built your foundation within those guidelines. So if you guys are constantly arguing and bickering and that's how you started off your relationship, it's gonna end that way. So try to correct it from the beginning. Don't let your relationship spiral out of control. Don't let your relationship become toxic and unhealthy. We have enough of those situations already, sis. We don't need no more of those situations. And peace is something so small and it seems so hard to achieve, but it's not. I promise you, once you figure out how to maintain peace in your relationship, you have truly figured out how to have the best relationship there is. I promise you. These small, simple tips are guaranteed to help improve the peace in your relationship, sis. And that's all we really need today in this day and time, right? It's peace. There's nothing like peace, I tell you. I know a wise man that used to say to me, there is no life without peace. And I totally understand what he means by that, because trust me, being in a relationship where there's constant malice, constant bickering, constant attitude, it's just boring and dull, and it gets played out after a while, and don't nobody got time for that, right? So as your relationship and wellness coach, I assure you that these small tips will help you gain a trustworthy, peaceful, happy, cherishable relationship. And that is the goal, right? For 2022 especially, right, sis? So get to it. Learn how to figure out your partner's ways, their boundaries, their limits. Figure out what you can do to understand them more Understand their love language, just understanding. Come from a place of understanding. Remember, a fire cannot put out a fire. In retrospect, you need water to put out a fire, right? So when you combine the two, or when you compare the two, I should say, fire is strong, vibrant, right? Water is humble and soothing. So you have to be the water, okay? Be the water. Remember, water still holds power. Water can be forceful and it can be embracing. So you remember that, sis. You're not giving up your power when you choose to embrace your partner's frustrations and come from a place of compromise and understanding. You're not giving away your power. What you're doing is actually encouraging yourself to be two steps ahead of your partner at all times, because once you allow them to feel comfortable enough to open up to you, to really explain their feelings and where they're coming from, oh, baby. Hey, baby. I promise you. Maybe you probably won't even argue anymore. And sis, between me and you, okay? Let me really get this through your head too, sis. Because a lot of us feel like if we yell, then we'll be heard by our men. And let me tell you, sis, you don't have to be on top of your lungs to be heard, okay? You just don't. You don't have to yell to be heard. This is what you do. You talk in a low but very stern and right to the point manner, okay? You don't have to yell. You don't have to cry. You don't have to be belligerent. Just talk stern and right to the point, and I promise that man will see how serious you are, because he'll hear it in your voice. And your voice is what makes a difference. If you're yelling, he can't hear you. After a while, men just tune out. It's like listening to a rap song. You can't catch the words, so you just tune out. I really hope that you guys take these useful tips. Once again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend about my channel, guys. And until next time, thanks for watching. God bless.